I was doing stock photography, it was the same. There would be like, you know, there's a million photos in the library, obviously more than like how many million photos in the library, and you'd find that the top 250 photos were making like 80% of the income for that stock library. And it would just be like, and
That's
then
crazy.
all the stuff in the bottom, and the photographers as well. If there was like, I don't know, 1,000 photographers in there, you'd have five who were making money or like making like good money, and then you'd have probably like 30, 40 who are making enough to like pay their mortgage, and then the rest would be like making like $10 a month. It's yeah,
That's so fascinating.
it's so crazy, yeah.
Actually, speaking about stock photography, I know back in the day when stock photography was a big deal, and I guess probably some people probably still make money off stock, but probably not nearly as much as it used to be. Can you talk a bit about your experience in stock photography and kind of everything and anything that you can speak on in terms of that?
Yeah, it was kind of it's funny now because I feel like with the way Midjourney is going right now, like stock photography's done. Like I feel like the last update of Midjourney probably like put the final nail in the coffin for stock photography. I got into it at a time that it was okay, but the people who so when I left, I went to school for photography, and when I left school, I interned with a couple of photographers, and they had been doing stock photography for a while, but they were doing it in the days when the internet wasn't really such a thing. So they would basically have like these massive books of like stock images. So they shoot stuff, and then like Getty would produce this giant book, and then Getty would take that around to like all the businesses, and people would buy photos out of it. But in those days, they were making like, you know, a single image that would be 25, 30K if it's for advertising.
Oh wow,
It was insane. And so certain images, so they were making like 500,000 a year easy. And then obviously it gradually, as the internet kind of evolved and there was more access to like posting photos online, and you had like there was a lot of cheaper agencies came in that were selling images for like $5 a pop. And so it kind of diluted it down. But I mean, some of those guys were still making good money. But by the time I came in, it was like a few steps down from that. And so it was good. I mean, for there was a couple of years where I traveled and shot stock photography and like did odd jobs on the side, but it largely like supported my like bum lifestyle effectively. Like it wasn't great money, but I mean it was so easy to like, you know, to just set up a shoot of like a wellness shoot, and then you know you'd probably sell like 30 images. I think the most I ever made out of an image was 5K, which was like decent for one
oh
image.
wow.
Um, but then it, like now, and I think I still probably have 1,000 pictures in like various different libraries. But sometimes like I'll make $100 every 6 months. And it's just like the way it just like dropped was crazy. And I know there's some people who still do it. But I think you have to produce like, I don't know, 30, 40,000 images a year in order to like break even and make some money. And to me, it's just like not worth it. But yeah, but it
That's
was fun while
crazy.
it lasted. I think for the generation before me, like those guys were just like laughing. It was such a good
Yeah, I
industry.
mean, sounds like it. 25, 30K an image. I mean, who's
It's
who would
cra-
say
it's
no to that?
it was crazy. And some of the images I knew had sold for that amount. Like one of the guys I worked for, like some of the images they were often not like for like super simple images. Like he used to shoot a lot of ski stuff. And so he'd go skiing for a week, take up like some models with him, and then they would like produce all this content, and that content would give him like 6 months income for like 2 weeks of like it was just
My God,
ridiculous. Yeah. But yeah,
like
no,
we
it's
need to go
definitely
back in time.
I know. Yeah. But it's so funny. I
That's
remember
crazy.
they had in the studio, they had one of the original like Getty Image, like stock photography books. And it was just funny, like flicking through it and thinking that that's how people would buy stock photography. Like now it's so different. Yeah.
Yeah, I never
Have you
even.
ever
I
thought,
don't know why it's
have,
never even thought about that.
yeah, have you ever thought about doing stock video?
Uh, we it's one it's one of those things that I feel like kind of like how people do it with stock photography, where it's like we have so much footage that we've never used,
Yeah.
but we're so lazy to actually go out there and upload it because it's like it takes so much time to go find the right ones and all that stuff. So it's like that's why we never like we considered it, but then we
Yeah.
were like, I'm probably like we could probably be spending our time in better ways than uploading footage for days at a time.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's funny too because like the last couple of years we've been like, you know what? Once it gets to the end of the year, we'll take some easy time and we'll spend time uploading a bunch of footage and it'll be fine. And
then that time of year comes and you're like, nope, I don't want to
Yeah.
do that.
It's like we'll do it next year, you know.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah, because I think
And
that that's the only place there's still a bit of money. Because I feel like AI, like video, isn't yet a thing. Um,
for now,
but now I
have
know.
you?
Yeah,
It's actually funny enough. Speaking on that, literally the other day I was on Instagram, and like this thing popped up on my feed, and I was like, oh, I wonder what that is. I looked it up, and it's literally like an AI generated videos, like stock videos. And I
really,
was like, well, I guess our time has come as well when it comes to stock videos. It's pretty crazy.
it's nuts. Yeah,
Have you been playing around with Midjourney a lot?
I did go and play around. I wanted to like see. I wanted to demystify it for myself because I feel like
Hmm.
there's people I know who are like calling themselves prompt engineers and like are like creating this business and I was talking to someone and they were saying how it's actually really complicated to do and everything and I was like so I went to play and see and I mean it's it's so basic to like create a good image. Have you played with it?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
also for anybody who doesn't know, Midjourney is an AI where you put in prompts and you generate images, and it's gotten quite popular over the last little bit. But yeah, Ben and I think we started playing around with like as soon as it came out, like
Yeah.
in the second rendition when it was still like really shitty, and we'd put in things in, and you're like, wow, this is like not that good. It's
Yeah.
like what's all this about? But then I've definitely seen like people putting in like the same prompts from like the second generation to like now the fifth generation, and it's crazy. Like some of the images I'm like, this is like legit realistic. Like I would not be able to tell the difference between that and a real photo.
Oh,
And I can't even
100%.
imagine what it's going to be like in the next like few months to few years. But it's really really cool, honestly. It's kind of interesting because as you mentioned, it's like you have to really know prompts to be able to still get like exactly the image that you're looking for, because I feel like that's the complicated part.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very fascinating, honestly.
Yeah, I think there's like a big difference between just getting something cool. Like I've seen people get something really cool by typing in like one that I saw was like uh if if you put a sloth on the cover of Vogue, and it was like this really
Yeah.
like artsy image of a sloth, and then they had the Vogue thing, and I was like, this legit looks exactly like that. And it's just funny little prompts like that can end up generating something really cool.
Yeah.
But then like if you want to get super exact with it, I know some people have developed like the craft to be able to make like storyboards, for example, for video
Yeah.
production, and to be able to get the exact same style and the exact same kind of mood, um, but with having your characters do different things within the same scene. I think
Yeah.
there's like a real sort of engineering aspect, like a prompt engineering aspect to something like that.
But it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah.
we the one thing we definitely have been kind of curious about is storyboarding, because that's kind of a big one where if we want to be able to share an idea with people, with clients, it's like, how can we, like, we have no idea how to draw. Like if there's one thing we have no idea how to do and there's no way we'll ever get into, is like trying to make storyboards. But we tried it a while back in version 3, and even then it's like some of the things that it came up with, it's like this is like pretty close to what we're looking for. So it's like I definitely see there's a lot of potential when it comes to stuff like that. But how do you see it when it comes to, because I mean you do photography, so what is it like for you seeing all those images pop up and them being so realistic?
Yeah. So it's funny because I feel like it was until version 5 that I like really took it as like anything, and then version 5 came out, and like I mean, it's hard to distinguish. Like that picture of the Pope in that coat. Did you see that?
Yeah,
Like I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was AI at first, and that's the thing is you genuinely can't tell. Like it's so good. Um, and I love the idea of using it for storyboarding. I think that's such a good use for it. I think for me, there's a couple of different like feelings. One of them is that it's because it's used imagery without permission. Like I feel there's a
Hmm.
little there's especially as like that obviously directly harms our industry. I feel a little bit of like negativity towards it in that respect. Um, I do, yeah, I do think it's an incredible tool, and I agree. Like it's hard to create imagery well to like actually, unless you're just putting certain prompts to actually get certain images. I think as photographers, it's easier because obviously you understand like backlighting, like composition, that you can give it the terms it needs. Um, for me, if I was still in stock photography and that was my main income, I think I would be like so scared. Like I would, and I know someone who is a copywriter who just basically completely switched their career. That when ChatGPT came out, they were like this is now. I know in like 2 years' time, I'm not going to have a job, so there's no point me continuing to do this. And so they've completely switched their career. For me, I think luckily because most of my income comes from wedding photography and creating moments with people who want those pictures of themselves. I don't think it's ever going to be an issue where it's going to take like work away from me. But I very much think like mainstream commercial photography, it's a serious hit. I mean, even like Levi's just announced that from this point forward, they're only using AI models.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so all their ad
That's
campaigns are only
crazy.
going to be AI models because they think it shows the reason they say is because it's a more diverse human, which is like to me is just such an interesting. I'm like, it's because it's
It's
cheaper. It's not because it's a more
yeah.
diverse human. You want a diverse
That's
human, use
that's
humans. Yeah.
That's what I was about to say. It's like, wait, it's how are you diversifying it by not even using people? I guess like
It's so bizarre.
that's so fascinating though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things though as well that which I've been kind of looking into as well, as people are saying that. And again, I feel like it's so hard to wrap your mind around the fact that like how good AI actually is if you haven't actually like played around with it, especially ChatGPT, Midjourney, and there's so many other ones too. Like for example, like we use Descript for our podcast, which literally takes the video version and just literally like scripts everything. So it's like we literally have like if we want to go to a specific spot and like make a clip out of it, then we just go to where you're saying it because we have it in writing, and then like we go there, we put in like a point to start, point to end, bam, you have a clip. It's like you don't need to
Yeah.
go scroll through the whole thing just to go find a good clip, uh, and stuff like that. So it's yeah, it's just like so fascinating how that works, and it's in a way it's terrifying too because you're like
Yeah.
which part of the creative is it going to hit next? It's like copywriting, for example, is a big one, or it's like website development even. Because with
Yeah.
this new rendition of ChatGPT 4, it's like you can literally, I don't know if you saw this video, but it's like somebody drew how they want their website to look, like super shitty drawing too. It's like literally just like squares on like a piece of paper. And they took a picture of that, put it into ChatGPT and said like, make me a website that looks like this. And it did. And it's like, holy, it's like, that is insane.
It's so crazy, yeah. Yeah. I kind of hope it leaves room for humans to still be creative. Like it would just be interesting to see how it gets used overall. But I think the thing we're going to find is that we're going to get hit with like an onslaught of content. Because I mean, even like for the back end of a website, like doing SEO, I mean, you can just get it to write all your SEO and you can put in like, 100 SEO pages on the back of your website in like a day, which before would have taken like months of work. And I think that's the interesting thing is that it's just going to be like newspaper articles. There's a surf magazine which has started writing articles by recycling old articles and
Mm,
then and just writing it just so they're getting like links. Because I mean, at the end of the day, all they want is the advertising dollars. And so if they're
right.
like, getting prominent, like it's showing up in the right place, it's getting enough clicks on the ads, then they're getting paid, and that's all they really care about. And I think that's where we're going to see like a decline in like most content is just going to be like borderline unreadable. Well, readable, but just dull. But hopefully then there's room for like creative people on top. I don't know. It's fascinating. Yeah.
Well, I did watch an interview with the guy with the CEO of OpenAI, and he was saying that he thinks the jobs that are safest are the creative industry jobs because of the fact that, at least in his opinion, he believes that there's something about human behavior. Sometimes we're just like so illogical.
Yeah.
There's just something. There's no rationale a lot of the time behind something that might pop into your mind or whatever it might be that he feels like that's irreplaceable.
Yeah. I hope so